So we're getting ready for this hurricane today. I've been really having a hard time with my stepfather's passing. We're on our way to go up to my mother's now, and his memorial is this Saturday. We were planning to go up there Friday, but with the hurricane coming through, we're leaving tonight. It's been a lot of contemplative melancholy for the past couple of weeks. I don't know how to describe it. I'm not used to death having quite this effect on me. I've dealt with death a lot in my career because I worked in a retirement home, and I've dealt with death in friends and family before. But I guess it's not always the same, and it's striking to me sometimes why it's different. But I guess it has a little to do with the stages of growth we're in at a particular time when things happen. It's been rough these past couple of weeks, going through a lot of thoughts and facets of life, but there's been ups too. You know, there's been good moments, and I've shared some of those with you. For now, I'm just trying to show how I'm trying to get back on track, because though I've been on my diet just fine, I haven't really been doing any exercise. I haven't been going on walks or doing push-ups or squats or anything. I've felt really deflated. But today, I got back on the horse, and so far I've already done 75 push-ups, and I've done 15 Superman stretches. I'll show you those here. It's starting to help me feel motivated again and feel strong again, because I just haven't had any desire ever since Jerry passed. It's been rough. I don't know how to describe it. It's just going through grief, but I'm on the upside now, and wanted to be able to come back and let you know, one, that's where I've been, but two, you know, you got to go through moments of grief, because life is going to be full of grief, and it's good to be able to deal with it and then get up and move on. And I've got some plans. I've got some goals I want to set for myself for October, and we'll be talking about those soon too. So I'm still building up to getting back to my normal routine. We're up here in Georgia again, enjoying our old walking stomping grounds. Got the boys with me and all the dogs today. Ready to get back on track. Get October started off right. Get started back into some push-ups regularly, and see if we can take this turning 50 challenge this month of October. See about a challenge to see how many push-ups I can do for my 50th birthday. And it gives me something to change gears on as September rolls into October, to have a different focus, to be able to take that grief and that loss from my stepfather, realizing that motive power that he represented, the way he was always going, always working, always building something better, and honoring that by continuing to build on my own, to take the example that he set, and to build my family, and to build myself, and to continue to build the community and the world that I would want to live in. And that's what I encourage for all of you. Start building today, because life is short. You don't know when you're going to be called on to be there for your family in times of difficulty. You don't know when you're going to be called on to stand up and fight through a storm to help somebody else or even your own. So it's time to get healthy. It's time to get back into our exercise, at least in my case, to get back on track. And if you've gotten off track, don't wait. Let's get started now. Let's work together. Start this October off right. Here it is, 6 p.m. and I am right at 24 hours in on a fast, trying to get some of the bad stuff out of my system, letting go of the desire for anything right now. I really like the idea of what a fast does for me mentally. Looking forward to a new day for October, getting back on the right path. We still got a hard road to hoe ahead of us, but no sense in starting off on the wrong foot. Gonna start off on the right foot. What I like about fasting is it gives me an opportunity to tell the emotions that tend to control me more than I like, that I have the feeling to do something that I give into, but to be able to tell those feelings and tell those emotions, no, I'm in charge, not the desire for something that I don't need, not the desire for some kind of psychological comfort from something that's going to harm me, I'm in control, not those desires. That's what I like about fasting. It is mentally very useful for me. You've done fasting before, haven't you?
Yes.
How long did you go?
3 days.
Okay. What did you experience?
Hunger.
Hunger. That's I had hunger the first day, and I had hunger last night, but it wasn't really hungry for food. But I was so stuck on the stuff that I ate the day before that I didn't feel like I needed to have anything else.
So how long have you been? How many hours have you been fasting now?
Let's see, 4 hours. It was 68 hours.
Okay.
I'm starting on the 69th hour right now, or 8 minutes.
So how do you feel?
I feel remarkably good as far as not wanting something to eat, which is probably the biggest surprise overall, because it's just one of those things that I'd heard about fasting and that it's good for self-discipline or I don't know, it was good for something to where you're just letting your body do something, or if it's even mental or physical or spiritual. I don't know which, but I'd always heard about fasting having some benefits, but not being required, at least not spiritually required. Now that I've been doing it for almost 3 days straight, I've noticed some things about how it's pleasing to my spirit to be in control of my flesh's desire, to have something to stimulate my body or my mind. You know how food isn't often just about filling the hunger in your belly. Sometimes, very often, it's about something emotional. And those are the ones that are the hardest to deal with. I haven't really dealt with any feeling like, I got to eat something. I did have a couple of times where I felt woozy for a brief moment, but I figured I just didn't drink any water recently, so I drank some more water and I felt better again.
Are you drinking more water?
I'm drinking about the same water as I usually drink. Well, this one's empty. I gotta fill it up here in a minute, but I've been going through about 3 to 4 liters a day, and I am still using salt, and occasionally, like once or twice a day, I'll use Relight. Usually once, if at all, but sometimes twice a day. Only if I'm really doing some extra work do I do a second one of Relight. But I've been adding salt to all my water except for a couple of bottles this size over the past couple of days. I have literally felt exhausted since the last time I had COVID. And it seems to be getting worse each day. And while I'm out of town, and it's just been hard to get up in the morning, so I've had coffee also for the past couple of days. And I think that's been affecting my guts, because like last night, I'm laying in bed and I was asking you about it, and I said it feels like it's grumbling and rumbling, but it's not hunger pains. It's not up here, it's down here. And I think it's just my body reacting to the coffee bean. As much as I want to have coffee, I don't really think it does me all that much good even when I have it. I really just enjoy the hot, steamy flavor, or something about the hotness of it makes it special to me. So I don't think I'm going to have any more coffee, and I don't know if I'm going to go beyond 72 hours. That's kind of that was the goal, but I feel so good. Who knows? Maybe when I get to 6 o'clock tonight, I'll just keep on going.
So you started this as more of a cleanse?
Yeah, because the day before I started, I was at my mother's, preparing for Jerry's funeral, my stepfather's funeral. And it's been a very contemplative couple of weeks since he passed, because he was such a force of energy in all of our lives, constantly going. To have that motive power stop overnight is pretty striking. And there was a lot of comfort food around that people had brought for consolation, and I think I got weak by the pound cake. Who brought that pound cake? Somebody brought some pound cake, but I had a few pieces of that, and I think I had a couple of other things I shouldn't have. I can't remember right this second, but yeah, I was just emotional eating and said, I got to get back on track. Plus, I really need to get my mind focused and get back on what I got to deal with when I get home. So I thought the fast would be a good way to cleanse my body and also kind of reset my emotions when it comes to food. I don't know if that's the best way to put it, but that's kind of how it feels. I'll tell you, it has been a very interesting past couple of weeks. It's been a real spiritual battle that I've gone through, and it's one of the reasons I haven't made a whole lot of video content. Also, I've been quite busy too. I've had to travel up to Georgia and over to the coast, and I've had to do a lot of things with family, so it's taken up a little bit of time, and it's really been a lot to process. So I'm going to focus on what I've been doing to get through this moment, and that's the fact that I've been fasting now for about 80 plus hours, 86 and a half hours to be precise. And I don't want to stop. I was just going for the 72-hour fast, and initially it really just started, I was going to do an intermittent fast because one, I had eaten some things that I shouldn't have eaten, and my blood sugar probably shot up and started switching things on in my body that hadn't been switched on in a while. I could definitely feel the difference. I didn't feel good. I felt sluggish. I've been sleeping later. You know, it's like all these things started happening after that first time where I indulged in that ice cream because of that initial grief, and I wanted to get my body back into the gear that it was in when I started this. So I started looking back into fasting. And I remember listening to Dr. Fung talking about the benefits, and I also remembered Thomas DeLauer talking about some of the benefits of fasting. And I thought, well, I'm going to just give it a try. I don't know if I'm going to make it anything, so I just figured I'll start today. I'll just start seeing what I can do. And really, I felt so bad about having eaten all that junk the day before. I found it very easy to ignore the hunger pains that started up initially because I just didn't feel like eating. I felt like I had eaten too much already. So it wasn't difficult to get through that first day. And since the first day, it's just been easier and easier. Today is technically the beginning of the fourth day, and I don't know how much longer I want to go with it, but I just felt like I didn't want to eat this morning. And then I watched this video. I watched a couple of Dr. Fung's videos today because I wanted to make sure I didn't end my fast improperly. And the key thing I think is that a lot of people overeat when they break a fast. And that's defeating of the purpose, is ultimately part of the problem. And who knows, maybe I guess you get some stomach issues or something from that. I'm not sure what the reason was, but ultimately the conclusion that I've come to is that I just need to end it with a regular size meal, which would be one steak for me whenever I decide to do that. But when I watched Thomas DeLauer's video where he was breaking down the 5 stages of a longer term fast, and realizing that I'm in that later stage where my body is in real autophagy, I have a high ketosis going on. When it comes to what the fasting has done for me, is I can feel that I've started to go back in the right direction. Because first of all, I was 195 pounds the day that I ate that way. I didn't weigh myself after that since starting the fast until this morning, and now I'm 189 pounds. So I know I've taken it in the right direction as far as cleaning out my system. It's probably just water weight or something like that, but who knows how much water weight I actually have since I mostly eat meat all the time. It's really hard to... This is one of the things I wanted to point out, is that there's not a whole lot of videos I saw that specifically deal with a carnivore that's doing fasting. I'll have to look in a little deeper, and I bet there's going to be a lot of comments with links below. You just got to remember, if you leave a comment with a link, I have to approve it. So just leave it. You're not gonna see it post initially, but when I see it, I'll approve it, and then it'll be there for people to see. In the video, I realized that I'm turning the fat stores in my body into ketones, because my brain, it started needing that within the first day. And if you watch the video that I'll link in the description,
you can see what I'm talking about with what Thomas DeLauer said. But if you're looking to see the experience side of that, I can feel the energy, and it's very comforting. And I don't feel hungry. That's what I've said the entire time, is I don't feel hungry doing this fast. And I think that has something to do with what he was saying, where when your brain starts converting, starts running on ketones basically, there's parts of your brain that like running on ketones that get charged up that haven't been charged up in a while. How I feel is the measure of what's going on here, and I feel much better. I feel lighter, and I feel like I'm losing some of that weight around my waist. I feel good. That's the best part, is that I haven't eaten in over 80 hours and I feel good. And I'm walking right now because the DeLauer video was talking about how when you just need a little bit of exercise to kind of kickstart the fact that your brain needs to know that your muscles are still being used, so your muscles won't be eaten in the process of trying to preserve energy. You know, that's one of the big worries that I always had about fasting was, well, I always heard at first it eats your muscle tissue. And now I know that you can, if you're using your muscles a little bit, it'll tell the brain, no, we got to have some energy here. The body's still using this. We're going into conservation mode, but at the same time, we got to give the body what it needs. So if the muscles are demanding a little bit of need, then it'll do what it needs to do to not take from those muscle tissues and continue to pull from the fat stores. But I'm not using my weighted vest, and I'm not going for a very brisk walk. I'm just going for a mild walk with my dog Sam. And I did some push-ups this morning. I've been wanting to do a push-up challenge. I started thinking I would do something at the beginning of October, but since I was already doing the fast, I kind of pushed it out and said, you know what, my birthday is November 7th. I'll just start on October 7th doing a push-up challenge. I really let exercise go during this grieving period, but it's nice to get back on track. I tend to overindulge in everything, not just food. I am really finding a tremendous release in not indulging in the food that my body wants, that my flesh wants right now. It's relieving a desire that bothers me. It takes that bothersome desire away and makes me feel stronger. So I'm really enjoying that aspect of it. And I hope it's a way of retraining my brain to be able to be okay with adverse situations better now, because I'm realizing the root of my problem, where my anxiety comes from, and that lack of faith that's underneath all of that too. As much faith as I can muster sometimes, I sometimes have difficulty having the faith necessary to overcome my own fears. And I think that can also cause some of the gut issues. So I think it's important that we address these as we move forward. I don't know. I could be wrong. What do you think? What amazes me is that it's not really much of a willpower issue, is that it's just that I'm able to not feel really that hungry. I'm even making Katie another steak this morning because she's wanting to go more of a full carnivore lately. She really saw the difference when she lost track some during this grieving period. And you know, with skin breakouts and stuff like that. So it's a new day. I'm excited about that. So I'm wanting to encourage her, and I'm used to making the steaks anyway, so I'm just making her one. Even though I'm on the 4th day of my fast. It's amazing to me that I can do that and not feel like it's this big battle. It's more like this big victory that I'm able to handle that. That it's, my body is just saying yes sir to my brain now, and that's what I like. I like to know that I have control over my body, not that my body is telling me what to do. And that's what I'm really finding from this fast. It's exciting. And it has now been 90 hours that I've been on this fast. One of the things I started doing was putting stuff away that we had to put away after we got back, because we had to pack up everything for the storm. And now I've been working in the yard. I've been trimming some trees. You know, I was doing some work on my computer this morning, and I was still hungry, so I started doing some physical work, and the hunger went away. I was able to focus on what I wanted to do, which is, that's always nice. I'm about ready to break my fast though. I really would like to have a steak. I'm at the point where I'm about ready, and I think I'm gonna very soon here. But I like holding on. I'm not ready to stop. It feels good. Well, I just finished 96 hours on the nose. It is 6:02 p.m. I finished my last meal just before 6 p.m. on September 29th. Today is October 3rd. So 96 hours. I did it. I did the 3 days, and I did one more just to be sure. So I am looking forward to having this steak. And we'll see how it does. You know, they say if you eat too much right after a long fast like that, it can cause trouble. Dr. Jason Fung kind of pointed out that as long as you eat what you normally eat, you should be okay. So I'm going to give it a try. My first bite is so good. Holy cow. I'm just going to make sure I chew it nice and slow as I reintroduce this beautifulness into my system. I could have gone longer. I realize I could have gone longer right now, but man, it's so good. Fasting was really cool. It was hard doing in the middle of all the chaos I had going on. I mean, it wasn't hard doing it. Everything that has been going on around it has been hard, but the fast was easy. And fasting actually kind of made it easier to deal with all the nonsense that was going on. For those of you who have been watching my channel for a while now, I want to share something with you real quick while I wrap up this video. We finally got the foundation poured for the house. I am so excited to see this. We've literally lived here right over a year, and we finally got the foundation poured. We've been camping out in this 24-foot shed back here and in this RV now for a year. And in about 6 months or less, hopefully now, I guess about 4 or 5 months, we should have a house built. I'm so excited for that. But that's not what I'm here to talk to you about today. I wanted to be able to finish up this video on fasting because I made a couple of mistakes in this video that I really need to talk to you about. First of all, coffee is something that I thought I had already cut out of my diet, and I keep letting it come back in. It's more of a psychological thing, I think, but I am ready to be done with it now because I have given it so many tries, and every time it winds up causing me a lot of grief and a lot of pain in my stomach area, and I find hot water to do just fine. Now, there is another reason though why it's important to not have coffee when you're trying to do a fast, and that's because coffee can cause you to have diarrhea. At least that's one of the things I noticed on this website that I'm going to share with you now. Another thing they mentioned that I did that I probably did a little too much of was electrolyte use. I was using Relight, which is great for electrolytes, but I was having 2 to 3 of them each day, and I was also still having salt with my water, so that was giving me a little bit too much in my system, which also can contribute to having diarrhea. And if you're having diarrhea and you don't have any food in your system, that can raise some questions, because I didn't know what was happening there. But I did realize if you're ever having diarrhea on a fast, you should stop your fast immediately, because that's one of the things they talked about here is you got something out of balance, and you definitely don't want to have that. It's apparently a very rare thing, but check out the website. I've linked all of this stuff in the description for you so that you can hopefully make a better choice than I did with some of this. Also, breaking my fast with steak was probably not the best idea. I watched another video that Dr. Fung put out after I talked about the one where he mentioned that as long as you eat something similar to what you normally eat, it would be okay. The reason why I did that is that he was talking about a shorter fast, like within a day or two. I was on my 4th day, which really isn't terrible, but it was enough to cause me some bloating after I ate that steak. Still glad I ate it, but it did cause some uncomfortable bloating. I would encourage you to avoid that. But I also would certainly encourage you to pay attention to the video that I linked in the description with regard to the longer term fast, because if you're doing something over 5 days and you decide to eat too much when you get done, you can run into some real problems, and they can get very, very serious, even causing heart arrhythmia and death in some people. So it's no joke. Be careful with fasting, that you're not overeating when you break yourself back in. I think that was just part of my stubbornness right there, and I was in a hurry to do it. And psychological part is I wanted something to eat. I was ready to be done with it. I'd already gone a day over, so it was just a bad decision to eat such a big piece of meat right afterward. I'm thankful that all I had was some mild bloating. I immediately realized that I could go longer because my hunger was psychological. That was why I mentioned that in the video. And as soon as I started eating, I realized I could have gone a little longer. And that let me know that it was simply because I wanted steak that I went ahead and had one. Instead of listening to what my body was saying, I was going by what I wanted. I have a tendency to rush into things and not look before I leap. Let me encourage you, look before you leap. Especially if you're going to do something as dangerous as a fast longer than 5 days. Make sure you know exactly what you're planning to do before you do it. Because when you start having the psychological effect of getting hungry and even the physical effect of getting hungry, you're going to go out of your way to get something to eat really quick. And you could cause yourself some harm recovering from a long-term fast the wrong way. So don't do everything the way I did it, because thankfully, by the grace of God, I survive all of my crazy choices. But I'm looking forward to another fast because I found it to be very beneficial, and it was a lot of fun. Anyway, that's all I got for this one. Thanks for sticking around for such a long video. I'll see you guys next time.
If we pay extra, could we maybe get some grease or fat?